Hey. We're back again. We're back again. It is 10 o'clock at night, and we're recording this on October 19th, 2021. It's not going to get released until like mid-November, so if some shit happens in the next month, we don't know about it.
When that episode is aired, I would have been turning 21.
Hey.
Woo! Legal drinking age.
I've never drank alcohol before.
Legal smoking age, Evan.
Oof.
Finally, I can buy legal Juul pods.
I feel like I had something I wanted to ask you guys before. Well, do we want to talk about Emma's interview?
Wait, hold on. Let's get into it. Hello, this is the Shameless Recap Podcast, and we are your hosts. My name is Amanda.
My name is Evan.
My name is Lena.
And this is a show where we recap every single episode of the Showtime series Shameless, the American version. We are in season 4, aka the best season.
The best
season.
Created.
And as I said, we're recording this on October 19th at about 10 p.m. after we've all had full fruitful days.
Full work days.
And just before I'm about to jump into 11 days of a film festival that will suck the soul from my body.
We salute you.
Girl boss moment.
But Mercury is out of retrograde.
Thank God.
I have an appointment for a booster shot. And I just got my first pair of men's jeans, which men are really just walking around with all this pocket space. I am offended.
Oh my God, you can fit so much shit in there. Welcome.
Lena, did you say... Okay, so I didn't read the article because I don't really care what Emma Kemi has to say.
I read a TCAP article about it. I
didn't listen to the podcast, but I did read the article.
I didn't listen to the podcast. I read the whatever I think you sent.
So we're talking about an article where Emma Kenney said that Emmy Rossum was difficult to deal with, and I would take anything Emma Kenney says with a grain of fucking salt.
Well, it's also like, she basically said that if Emmy had a bad day, she would make it everybody else's problem too.
Mm-hmm. That she dreaded having scenes with Emmy.
Like sometimes she did, and that she said that she felt like Emmy created this like almost culture of competition between the two of them, which I kind of call bullshit on that a little bit, because it's like, who the fuck is creating competition between an 11-year-old and a 22-year-old?
Yeah, I was about to be like, their age gap is such an extreme, there's not even a reasonable way to compare the two.
Right.
I feel like Emma is taking Emmy trying to get taken seriously and not be taken advantage of, and like making it, oh, she was such a bitch.
I feel like a lot of it, it's hard for us as...
Well, I feel she didn't say that. Like, not, like, I don't want to villainize Emma at all, because I don't think bad of her or anything, but she
Amanda.
did, like, Amanda's like, okay. But she did say she, like, her and Emmy haven't talked in years, but she saw she just had a baby, and that she's going to be a great mother, and that she wishes the best for her.
Yeah, that's what you say after you just talk shit on someone.
on a podcast, too. Kind of messy. She was on, wasn't it Call Her Daddy?
Yes.
That she was on?
I have friends that, like, lived in the town that Emma grew up in. And they said, yeah, she was, like, the shitty teenager in the town. Like, she was annoying.
Of course. I don't doubt it. Like, I bet they both probably have the respective bitchiness of being female actors with a spotlight on them. Like,
exactly.
I think, like, regardless, like, anyone could say that about any actor these days, but, like, I feel like at the same time, I think Emma's just seems a bit more prominent because of how not social Emmy is with everyone else, especially since she left. Like, you can take, like, Shanola into comparison, who literally, like, hangs out with them all the fucking time and, like, texts them and stuff like that.
Well, and she did compare Emmy to Shanola. She was like, Shanola is, like, my second mom.
Yeah.
Like, was, like, my second mom on the set. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, because I think personally...
Like, I don't want to say I believe her, but at the same time, like, it doesn't shock me, but it doesn't change my opinion about either of them.
Exactly. It's like, I kind of have to ask, like, why it matters.
And why now?
People are like, I'm so shocked, like, but, and it's like, well, why does it matter to you?
Yeah.
You don't, first of all, you don't know these people. Second of all, it's a job. Third of all, you know, Emmy was fucking carrying the show on her back.
I feel like at the same time, you have to look at it from Emmy's position. Like, Emmy was obviously, like, the big sister in the show, but, like, most of Fiona's stuff was all, like, very prominently just Fiona. Like, it seemed like she was, like, the kids were able to be more, like, family-wise and hanging out when Emmy had to
Well, they had scenes together.
Yeah, because they were able to interact more, but I feel like Emmy was always so more independent. Like, I understand if she wasn't as close with them, but I'm like, who cares? That she left 4 years ago. The show's been over for over a year. Oh, like, almost a year.
Emmy was out here being, like, walked all over by the producers and the writers and everybody. Like,
that's the other thing I was gonna say.
Had to demand equal pay and then had to say, hey, please stop giving me so many sex scenes, and then they wouldn't, and it made her leave.
Right.
Yeah.
She was out there getting objected every day. I feel like we also forget Emmy might be 35 now, but she was 22, 23 when the show first started. She was very young, and I feel like holding her to that standard of like being a responsible, mature, like older like model figure to the kids on set is like it's not really that fair because it's like, you know, she was going through her own things too.
Like, Emma, are you telling me today that if you walk on set and you have a shitty day, you're not making it at least 3 other people's problem? Like, you are, because you're 20 years old, that's what you do. Like...
Yeah, and it's like, you might not be doing it on purpose, but it's just like not having like a very positive attitude. It's gonna make other people's day a little worse. And like...
But it's not up to Emmy to dictate the day. Like, it's not up to her if you get pissed off because she's pissed off. Like, she's not responsible for how you feel.
Overall, this article coming out, like, I don't know. I felt like it was something we should talk about, but like I didn't think anything of it really. I was just kind of like, well, whatever.
Yeah, no, it doesn't change my opinion.
I'm out here in a fandom where a tall Texas man is just being homophobic on stage. And
oh my god, I saw that. I was gonna ask you about that, but then I got the scoop
during the Denver Con. This is gonna come out like a whole month later, and I'm sure he will have done something else terrible at another convention. But during Denver Con, somebody asked Jensen and Jared, do you think that Sam and Dean knew of Cass's romantic feelings, and when did you think that they knew? And Jensen started to answer it and do his kind of middle of the road, like answer whatever, but then Jared,
because he was like I played Dean as not knowing that Cass was in love with him.
Jensen gave a very sincere, like, I don't think he knew until Cass said it. And then Jared came in and started being homophobic for absolutely no reason.
No way. I didn't see anything about this.
And he brought up that Dean and Cass being in love would be incest because they're brothers. And he said that
Cass was junkless.
Oh, he said Cass is junkless. Got transphobic in there too. He said Cass is junkless.
What the
and started equating. They're like, he's like, people only like it because people want to see them bang, and like love you just sexualizing gay people. And why do we let tall Texas men speak? Why do we let them talk ever?
Was Jensen just like sitting there like
he nodded along with it, and just to get it to end. He like
yeah. Well, and he was basically like he was like well, what, like, it's not up to us to be like, it was romantic feelings, like, it could have been.
And Jensen said that Cass's love is, like, otherworldly and angelic. Like, he tried to just steer away.
It was built different. It was beyond gender.
He tried to be as PG and, like, the answer that everyone kind of wanted. But Jared
it's also, Jensen was being fair by being, like, his love, because it's angelic, is like beyond gender.
Just so you know that this is us currently. Yes. Jared Padalecki stands are going to listen to it and then fucking roast us and block us and spam us, and they're going to hate us, and yeah.
Oh, the beef, the hold he has.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Alex and Misha then had, well, first of all, everybody is spamming Creation Entertainment right now with emails because someone started to ask a question about the confession, and then she almost got cut off by a Creation person. She's like, she said into the microphone, am I not allowed to ask about the confession? And Misha went, yes, you are. And like let her finish the question.
Yeah.
And then somebody asked Alex, what pronouns do you think Jack would go by? And he said, I think Jack would go by they, them pronouns. But then people got mad that when he kept speaking, he's like, I think Jack would go by they, them pronouns. And I think he continued. I'm like, yeah, Alex played the character. So his pronouns are getting annoying in this sentence because Alex played the character.
Yeah. The other thing I saw was that somebody was crying at Misha's panel and asked a question about like how to deal with grief because their father had passed away. And Jensen and Misha started to answer, and Jensen and Jared crashed the panel and were like, hey, shut up, dude. Like, well, like not.
I put that on the workers at creation. It was poor timing. Somebody hit the queue too early. Yeah.
Oh, like when they pop out to start their panel, like it was just like the bad time.
Right. It's like, I also really hate to be like this, but I think it was a little inappropriate that question was asked really publicly in the first place.
Yeah.
Is that bad of me to say? Like, I feel like it's a lot of pressure to be putting on somebody in the moment to perform for an audience.
Apparently Misha found the person later and tore out a poem about grief from his poetry book and gave it to her.
Oh.
Yeah, but that was your supernatural corner of this shameless recap podcast, because just for context,
that's the one thing that will stay consistent with this podcast is getting that.
It's just for context, this beef that like a 20-something-year-old girl has with the girl that played her older sister on a television show doesn't seem as bad when I'm out here getting hate crimed by my favorite TV show.
Yup.
But
I remembered I was going to mention to you guys, again, I was remembering back to our last recording, and I know by the time this comes out, the other one will have already come out, but that was a couple of weeks ago that we recorded episode 3, and we just kept saying, dick and pussy, dick and pussy, and I was just remembering that. And I was like, look, because I was looking at the, like, explicit rating on one of our last episodes, and I was like, dick and pussy,
dick and pussy, dick and pussy.
Dick and pussy.
So I just wanted to say I'm excited for that episode to come out.
So today is the episode for Dick and Pussy, though.
Oh,
guys, not only is this week an excellent episode of Shameless, season 4, episode 4, Strangers on a Train, the notes were done by, and this discussion is once again going to be led by our wonderful co-host, Lena.
Woo!
Oh, I didn't know I was leading today. I thought you were leading. I can lead, but I didn't know that was going to be the case.
You know how in season 4 Noel got made a main cast member? This is you being made a main cast member.
Oh my god, that's so exciting. I got kind of evil with these notes a little bit.
I love it.
Okay, great. Well,
do you want me to do the written by and the dates and stuff and you can jump in?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah,
so
go
like
ahead.
We said, 13 minutes into this recording, this is season 4, episode 4, Strangers on a Train, which means it is the one with the scene. It aired on February 2nd, 2014, written by Eaton Frankel. This is number 6 out of 13 for this man, for Shameless.
Damn, he be working.
He's done 107, Frank Gallagher, Loving Husband. 205, Father's Day. 210, A Great Cause. 307, A Long Way from Home. 312, Survival of the Fittest. This one. He'll go on to do 409, The Legend of Bonnie and Carl. 505, Rite of Passage. 509, Carl's First Sentencing. 605, Refugees. 610, Paradise Lost. 706, The Defenestration of Frank. And 711, Happily Ever After. And his other credits are Gossip Girl, Sorry for Your Loss, Animal Kingdom, amongst others. And this episode was directed by Peter Segal. This is one of 3 episodes. He's a quick one. One of 3 Shameless episodes he directs. This one, 503, The Two Lisas, and 607, Pimp's Paradise.
Okay, those are good episodes, though.
Weird vibe, right? Though. Weird vibe off of that.
Yeah.
Weird vibe with his other credits.
Yeah.
And his other credits are Get Smart, the 2008 movie, The Longest Yard, Tommy Boy, 50 First Dates, and Second Act.
Okay.
He likes Sandler. He likes my boy Sandler.
He's a comedian at heart. I gotta say, doing the episodes like this is like the most annoying part of the notes because I always have to look up.
Oh, yeah.
Like on IMDb, it'll have the episode title, and if I don't remember like what season and number it is, I like have to go look it up separately.
It's research time. Yeah, no, that's big research time, those opening things.
Oh, yes.
But that is who wrote and directed this episode, and we're gonna get into it. Lena, what is this episode about?
Okay, so this episode, against her better judgment, Fiona continues her secret affair with Robbie. Frank attempts to contrive an accident, quote unquote, that will provide an ample insurance payout to cover the cost of a potential liver transplant. The previously on was done by Fiona. Jesus, I'm raising 5 kids and even I didn't miss Shameless on the toilet.
I feel like that's one of the iconic like intros.
Yeah.
They reuse it a couple times a lot. And previously on Shameless, Carl can't get Frank any more drugs, but no problem. He found a liver in his oldest daughter, Samantha, who is very touchy with him. Lip is struggling in college still. Debbie wants to have sex with Maddie, but he is not into it. Fiona met and fucked Mike's brother Robbie, and it's gonna happen again.
And let me say, I said this in our group chat when I went to watch this episode. This first scene, like, I knew Strangers on a Train was the scene where Robbie fingers Fiona on a train, but it is the first scene.
But it was right there.
It's right there. Okay, another thing is, I one day was carousing on the internet as one adult does, and this scene was on Pornhub, and it had about 2.5 million views.
Yeah, I was like, Evan admitting that he watches porn. What else?
But I like went to the comments because I was like very curious, because looking at porn comments is honestly really funny if you have the time, because people will just comment anything. I was very surprised not to see anyone know that it was from a television show.
Usually it says like in the title.
It did. It literally said... normally it did say it literally had Shameless and 404, and that was it.
Y'all out here outing yourselves with your porn watching habits.
Well, I was like, no, I'm just saying, like,
sometimes I get bored.
and Evan's like, if you read the comments, if you have the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, if you're like not in a rush.
Leisurely, obviously.
If you don't have to be somewhere.
Like we were just talking about how Emmy, like the whole beef with Emmy and the fact that she had to do so many sex scenes on the show. And it is unfair that she had to do so many, but when she did them, she is excellent.
She is
excellent. So you go ahead, Lena.
Yeah. All right, well, coming off of the intro, we have the title sequence, and we open to Fiona on the train, coming home from work. Outside the station, Robbie gets into the same car as her, and it's a very tense affair. There's some sultry music in the background.
They lock eyes with him standing on the platform, and he
outside
comes
the
on
window
and sits on the train with her. Oh,
she like stiffens up and like kind of just like adjusts herself.
Well, because he knows that he was gonna run into her. This was premeditated by Robbie.
No, he did it on purpose, 100%. Yeah.
She pretends not to notice him, but when the lady who's like sitting next to Fiona gets off the train, Robbie sits down next to her, and then Robbie slyly slides his hand over and starts fingering her on the train.
And under her skirt!
Almost to orgasm, too. I don't think she actually finishes, but he then leaves at like the next stop, leaving her shocked and unsatisfied. And Fiona sneaks like a guilty glance at the old lady behind her, who gives her a dirty look because she totally saw.
But Fiona's still eating that shit
up. Fiona and Robbie are so hot together. They're destructive, but they're so hot.
Right? But it's like, I know that it's not good.
What's it mean when when people watch you fuck?
Voyeurism.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's a big
definitely
voyeur.
A voyeur.
It's and Emmy just has really good chemistry with the actor who plays Robbie. Like I said, almost as good as her with Jimmy Steve. Yeah, like it's electric.
Well, it's a very physical relationship between the two of them, but with Jimmy Steve it was like more than just the physical. Anyway, immediate cut to the Gallagher house. Fiona tells V about the incident and she shames her for it. And apparently, according to V, Fiona had a boyfriend who did speed in front of Carl, one who stabbed a guy at the Cracker Barrel for cutting in line, and then there was Jimmy Steve, the lying married car thief.
I like the way that V said it though. She's like, you let a guy finger you on the train? She's like, it wasn't just any guy. She's like, yeah, it was your boss's brother, your boyfriend's brother.
Like, it was your boyfriend, boss's brother. Like, come on.
On a train.
Fiona insists that it was a mistake and that it won't happen again, but we all know how that pans out. And V vents a little bit about the bar's finances. It's just like a Gallagher morning scene.
Also, V is very pregnant already. How much time has elapsed?
God.
Oh, yes.
She's like carrying around the orange juice. She's so cute.
And she's waddling.
I know she's got triplets, but how much time has elapsed? She's so pregnant.
Debbie comes downstairs and yells at Carl for not making Liam breakfast, and Fiona slips him a Pop-Tart. Liam is such a little cutie. Well, he's chewing on Debbie's like lip gloss or something, and Debbie's like, Carl, you're supposed to make Liam breakfast, and Fiona's like, don't worry about it, and just slips him a Pop-Tart. And she goes, more nutritious than makeup.
Her little comments to Liam always make my day.
She's so sweet. Fiona, very proud of herself, mentions that she made a big sale yesterday, but Carl and Debbie just hold their hands out for lunch money. Carl still won't talk to Fiona because of Frank, and Fiona's attempts to reconnect with Debbie are fruitless. And on the way out the door, Fiona reminds Debbie that it's okay to be a kid, but she just continues to storm out.
Yeah, she like compliments Debbie's outfit. She's like, you look cute. And Debbie's like, I'm not trying to look cute. Like, fuck off.
Trying to, like, gorge. At the doctor, Sammy is undressing in front of Frank, and she's, like, really making a show of it.
She's like, oops. She's like bending over and stuff.
And he still hasn't told her that he's her dad, and she's flirting super hardcore. And she's about to, like, take her bra off or her pants off or something, and he ducks out of the room.
Yeah.
Very awkwardly. And he talks to the doctor and asks about timing with the liver, and he mentions that Sammy will definitely pass the medical exam because she's his daughter, but the doctor brings up the money issue with Frank's transplant. It could be a year-long wait unless it's dire circumstances, and all in all, it would end up being around $150K without health insurance.
Jesus. Which is fucking criminal.
Insane. Yeah, that's, I mean, the cost of a house. Sammy then comes out of the room and announces that she's done with her test really quick. And kisses Frank very deeply on the mouth in front of the doctor.
The doctor's fucking face. He's just, like, staring at
Yeah,
them.
she's like, what the hell? And he turns
She's like, what's taking so long?
Very shocked and is like, me and my daughter are very close.
It's like that scene. It's like that part in La Vie Boheme after Maureen makes out with her girlfriends. Like, sisters, we're close.
We're very close. Over to the alibi. Kev and V are charging $3 a shot. Because they have kids on the way, the bar is in financial trouble, and apparently they have asbestos in the ceiling, so they need cash bad. Frank comes in, babbling about how the doctor looked at him funny for kissing Sammy, and how expensive the procedure is. So Tommy mentions that Frank could burn his house down and file an insurance claim, but that plan shut down pretty quickly because Frank doesn't own his house or have insurance. But you know who does have insurance? Is Sheila.
I do like, though, that he literally comes in. You know how Frank comes in sometimes just in the middle of a sentence that he's talking to no one about? He comes in and he sits down and Kev is like, Frank, could you just keep your babbling down? I don't want to fucking hear it.
Like, to yourself. He's like, what are you babbling about now? So Frank says that he is just going to do it without telling her. And V says no. She's like, you're not going to burn down that nice lady's house. And Frank's like, no, not burn down. Just get injured. She's got liability. So a big injury, big accident, and they have to pay up.
It's not the dumbest idea he's ever had.
No, and honestly, like, all in all, the only person it really affects is him. So, you know.
And, like, her insurance premium. Like, that's all.
Yeah. But in the dorm, Lip is being quizzed for his midterm by Ron. It's laundry day, and he's wearing his fuck you, you fucking fuck shirt, which
iconic.
Is best shirt ever. And he says that he'll be right behind Ron to join him to go to the midterm. He just has to get his pants out of the dryer. So Lip runs down to the laundry room to discover that someone has thrown all of his wet clothes on top of the dryer so that they could use it, which is a dick move for real.
That's so fucked.
That's why I legit, when I lived somewhere where you had to go down the hall to do your laundry, I would, like, bring a book or my homework with me and just sit and I would be that bitch sitting in the laundry room.
Somebody did do that to me once or twice, just throw my clothes on top of the washing machine.
That's so fucked. I've done that to my siblings once if they took it before me.
But does he only have one pair of pants?
It might just be that all of them are wet. All of them are now wet. So Lip slips on his wet jeans and he attempts to get back into his room, presumably to change, actually, because he comes into the laundry room with a towel around his waist because he's wearing boxers. And he puts his jeans on and he tries to go back to his room, I assume, to put on sweatpants or something.
He probably went to go grab his books and shit, because remember it's
a midterm. All you need is something to write with and, like, a calculator if it's math.
He's not wearing shoes.
He's not wearing shoes either. That's why I'm like, he's going back to his room to change. And he's locked out, though. Ron already left, and Lip is now running late for this midterm, so he's freaking out. He just takes off down the hallway in his wet jeans and socks.
His little slippery, you hear his, like, patting of his...
Yeah, he's like...
pat.
Frank arrives at Sheila's house, and he loudly acts like he's trying to talk to her, but he knows that she's out of town. I think she's visiting Karen.
Joan is just not in this episode.
Well, but Sheila comes back into town later.
Yeah. She's probably visiting Karen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she sees the sweat lodge.
I think she was supposed, like, they mentioned she was visiting Karen, because she's like, oh, Arizona was great. Yeah, but she's like, he's really milking it, like, so all the neighbors can hear and be like, Sheila, are you here? Like, blah blah blah. And he goes into her shed, like, under the house, her tool shed, and he grabs a crowbar, and then he pries one of the steps on the porch loose, and he purposefully slips and falls on the step and injures his leg. And we cut back to Lip, running in wet jeans and socks across the freezing campus. There's snow on the ground in Chicago in the middle of winter, And he arrives at his exam room, but he isn't allowed in because he's 6 minutes late.
Which is so fucking rude. That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had a professor that was like, oh, you're late? Fuck you. You fail.
Like, the doors were locked because remember he's like banging on the door.
The doors were locked. He was pounding on the door, and the professor comes to go talk to him.
He's like,
he
they're
sees
taking an exam.
Yeah, he sees Ron in there, and Ron just kind of gives him a look like,
he's
sorry.
Like,
what are you gonna do? But Lip says that he doesn't want the time that he missed, just the time that he has left. But the professor refuses and turns him away.
Mickey time. It's Mickey time.
Hi, Mickey.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay, but I want to say something, though. Ron left the room not 2.2 seconds probably after Lip left the room. And Lip still were able to run, get to there, and somehow Ron was there faster than him, and he was 6 minutes late.
Well, no, because Ron, even when Lip was like, oh, I gotta go get my jeans out of the dryer, Ron was like, seriously? Because we have to leave, like, right now. And Lip's like, oh yeah, just leave.
Yeah,
so just leave, I'll catch up to you.
Not only was he probably hustling and bustling across campus, but Lip, like, the time it took for Lip to go down to the laundry room, discover that his clothes are wet,
come back up,
put on those wet jeans, discover that he was locked out of the dorm, make the decision to go start running to his exam. It's like, that time adds up, especially, even though he was running. Mm-hmm. Anyway, hi, Mickey.
Hi,
Mickey and Svetlana.
Mickey and Svetlana bust into the whorehouse where Svetlana works, complaining about how little she's being paid. And after being brushed off by, like, the doorman or the guy who's, like, working the desk or whatever, Mickey demands all the girls to walk out. He just starts, like, opening the doors, and he's like, get the fuck up, put your clothes on.
He's like, you, put a shirt on, get out. And he was like, you can whack yourself off.
He starts it all by like, all right, now this is happening. Like,
right? Like, he's just like, okay, like, you asked for it. And he says, no one's getting laid until they get paid. And the guy says, I'll tell Sasha. And he says, yeah, you can go tell him to fuck himself.
And I love that because it's a Russian name. He's like, oh, Sasha, that's like some dude. That's the pimp that runs this place. Yeah.
Like some guy. Yeah, so Mickey has liberated all of the girls. They're following him out the building.
Our sex worker union leader, Mickey.
The Abe Lincoln of mouth whores, as he says later in the episode. And at Lou the lawyer's office.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex Borstein.
I was like genuinely surprised that she didn't write this episode. I like when I saw who wrote this episode, I'm like, Alex didn't write this?
She has a funny part in this episode too, so I'm surprised it wasn't her writing it for herself.
Yeah, I mean, she's only in like 2 little scenes, but she breaks the news that Frank isn't injured enough to make $150K, and she coaches him on how injured he's got to be. She's like, 3rd-degree burns, shattered something. Like, she's like, you need to be like limb missing. Like, you need to be like fucked up for real.
Yeah.
So Frank goes home and he finds Carl and enlists his help. He's like, I need you to break my leg. And Carl is like hesitant, but definitely interested. And he finally is like, can I put it on YouTube?
And I love the way Frank stares at him. He's like, what? No.
So there's like a montage where they consider pushing Frank off of the roof or letting his leg get run over by the L or even like a bear trap. But Frank backs out of all of these. He's a little too scared.
Bear traps are terrifying.
Well, that clip where Carl lowers the glass bottle down onto the bear trap and it just snaps and shatters. And he just looks at Frank and he's like, well.
Yeah, that'll fuck your leg up. That'll shatter your bone.
For sure. Might even snip it clean off.
Yeah, Frank's little twig legs, honestly.
Yeah, for real. Well, he's a runner.
Now we're joining Debbie at the bowling alley.
Debbie and Holly. At the bowling alley, Debbie and Holly talk about her last date with Maddie, and Holly asks if Debbie cleaned her pussy out with Purell after they had sex as a form of birth control. She's like, gets the little swimmers so drunk they can't find the egg.
Oh my god, the American education system.
Right? Especially from, like, well, because it's Holly. But Debbie says that they didn't have sex. And a boy runs up then to deliver Holly a Frappuccino. He's one of her, like, little lackeys hoping to get a quickie from her. But Holly goes off to chase some guy named Billy. And as she's leaving, Debbie asks her advice on Maddie, but she's no help because no one's ever turned her down before.
Yeah, she's like, oh, he said it wasn't the right time? I don't know how to help you with that. No guy has ever not wanted to sleep with me.
She was like, that's never happened to me before.
Exactly.
Like, Holly, I know you're a couple years older than her, but you're still a baby child, and that's a problem. Like, I know that we hate you for being the one that, like, kind of ruins Debbie, but, like, girl, maybe you should talk to somebody.
Girlfriend, go back to math class.
Yeah. At the bar, Kev is arguing on the phone with Stan's son because they haven't paid him his rent money yet. And Mickey walks in with all the girls in tow and explains his strike plan to Kev, V, and Tommy. He's just kind of like putting on a he's like everybody listen up. Who wants to hear about why I got these girls behind me?
Line up a shot for the Abe Lincoln of mouth whores.
Exactly. He looks gorge in this scene.
Noel looks so good. He looks so
he
good.
Looks gorge. He looks gorgelicious.
He's so cute.
His hair works. The eyebrows got drawn on correctly. It's the little paw sweater.
Yeah. It's like he's had the black hair for a while, so it looks natural, not fresh, prominent, like Sharpie black.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Homeboy post on Instagram today?
Yeah, who was that person?
I think it was somebody from that show, The Red Line.
It's from The Red Line.
Yeah.
She made a cute little post about him, too. They have kittens, it said.
I don't know.
In the girls' post, she was like, I saw Noel... I always forget Lena. What's his wife's name?
Layla. Yeah.
Layla. And then in parentheses, she put, like, and the kitties. And I was like, Noel got kitties?
Layla Alizada. Well, and they have a cat named Sushi.
Yeah.
I know that. And then they have another one named Spartan, I think. Right?
But, like...
He's such a boy.
He looks so good in this episode. Like, it's something about him with the sweater paws and everything. He looks so good in this episode.
It's like we can take this episode comparing to what actually Noel looks like. I'm like, they're not the same person.
It's not the same person.
No, absolutely not. Especially with that Instagram post today. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Kev asks Mickey how Sasha gets away with paying the girls next to nothing. And Mickey explains that because they're illegal immigrants and they barely speak English, they don't really have a choice but to take that kind of work. So Kev gets an idea and immediately rushes out.
He's like, I gotta pick he says I have to pick something up at Home Depot.
Yeah. Svetlana takes a call and tells Mickey that Sasha wants a meeting, so they go. And then I did right. Mickey looks really good in that scene.
Simultaneously, he's like, I freed them. They're not making enough money. And Svetlana's like, they all want a drink. And he picks up a glass. He's like, good thing there's a sink in the fucking bathroom, huh? Like,
right? Well, and he's like, I freed them. I'm going to be so good. And then Svetlana's like, Sasha wants a meeting. He's like, let's fucking go. I want these girls out of here. Like,
I love some of the little stuff he says when he's clearing them out of the salon too. He's like, yes, I don't care if you're mid-pump. Get up. And he's like, the one girl's completely nude with a jacket.
Well, and then he's like, put your fucking tits away. Put your tits away. And it's like, damn.
I don't care if it's sticky. Like.
So we cut to Lip's sopping jeans as he sits waiting in the dean's office. And he gets called in to talk to the dean. He explains the situation as to why he was late. But the rules are not on his side, which is just really shitty. And the guy's being like a real dick about it too. Lip is like, I just want to take the test, even if you have to mark points off. But the dean absolutely refuses. And he brings up the student that was the runner-up for Lip's scholarship and says that if he were here, he would be on time.
That's such a bitch thing to say.
Such a dick thing to say. He's like, I don't know where Jay Santos is, but if he was here, he would have been on time to that midterm.
This school is setting Lip up to fail. Like, they're giving... his work-study job is giving him too many hours. Like, his...
roommate's a bitch.
Like, just the people around him are working against him. The fucking teachers, the professors, and the dean are all like, fucking step it up. Like, no help at all. Insane.
I did say, yeah, and it's like knowing his, like, financial family situation and, like, all that stuff, it was like, you know, like, there should be more help for him. I think I talk about Lip later in the notes where I'm like, Lip doesn't seem to be open to playing by the rules that he needs to play by. The rules of the rules of college, not the rules that he has come to know in the real world. And he talks about that at the end. Anyway, so Lip is really upset, understandably, goes outside and starts smashing random people's cars with a pipe bender that he takes from, like, a golf cart.
This scene is so good.
It's iconic.
It's his most iconic scene ever, I think, other than, like, the answer to that question, like, the answer to most questions is fuck you, and he throws the chair through the window.
Yeah.
But Destructive Lip is the fucking best.
Yeah, Lip, he just up on top of the car in the fuck you fucking fuck shirt, like, smashing the shit.
And his jeans and his socks.
Shoes.
Just smashing the shit in this freezing cold weather. And the security guard spots him.
He's like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, after one more devastating blow to the back windshield of a car, Lip takes off.
But also the security guard being like, hey, what are you doing? Not like he's been smashing this car for at least a good minute or so.
What does it look like I'm doing?
Yeah, the fuck? I'm on top of a vehicle.
And he's chased through campus by multiple cops and ends up in the library. And he finally evades them by, like, hiding under a table at a girl's feet. And she's, like, wearing a skirt. And she like, scoots back and is like, what the and he's like, shh. He looks up at her and just goes, shh. And it's like, hey.
She has a moment where she, like, her expression changes from what the fuck to, like, well, hello. Like,
You gonna do something while you're down there? Like,
make yourself useful.
Exactly, make yourself useful. So Mickey is back at the spa, guns blazing. Literally, he cocks his gun on the way in.
He's like so nervous. He comes in and he like cocks his gun, and you can tell he's like a little. He thinks he's about to face up against like a 6'4" burly Russian man, and he's like,
right, like a kind of like a Tony Soprano type almost, but he's very bristled, and he finds Sasha, who is a woman, outside.
A woman.
And Mickey tries to negotiate higher pay, but Sasha reveals a new bunch of working girls from the truck. And she says, they're from Chernobyl. We got a discount. So Mickey is shit out of luck, and she tells him to go fuck himself.
Because, like, in the background, there's just, like, a big van, and then all of a sudden it opens up, and they just start unloading, like, 20 girls from the back.
Yeah, and they're just like...
It's like the way that he goes and he's like, all right, so here's what I want. They want higher pay. They pocket the extras. What happens in the ass stays in the ass. He's like big and tall. And then she's like, oh, really? You tough negotiator? And she opens the truck and you see his face fall. And then as the girls file in, he's got like a, oh shit, oh fuck, like look on his face.
Well, and he's like, I'm flexible on those numbers.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have like an exchange where he's like, she's like, you're smaller than I thought you'd be. And he's like, you too.
Yeah. And she's like, your girls are tired and stretched out. Fuck you. And he's like, oh shit. Now he's got to go home to his angry Russian wife and his living room full of sex workers that are now shit out of luck.
Right. So at the office, Cup Company, Mike mentions that Fiona's birthday is coming up, and he asks her what she wants to do. He wants to celebrate, but she wants to keep it kind of quiet.
And he's like joking with her about how old she is. He's like, it's a big one, the big 30. She's like, go fuck yourself. I'm not 30.
I'm pretty sure she's turning like 24 or 25, something like that.
Yeah, no, she probably is like, at least like 26.
I think it's
24 at
less.
the latest, I think.
No, because if she's 22 in the season 1, we're in season 4.
She's 22 in season 2, I think. And yeah, but the events between season 3 and 4 are less than a year.
But always remember the golden rule of Shameless is
there is no time.
Does not exist, and we don't actually know how old she is. So he's fucking with her, and Robbie is at the office.
Of course he's at the office.
Flirty text messages while Mike tries to talk to her. And he's like, hey, like, you're super distracted. What's going on? And she tries to lie, and she says, oh, it's just one of the kids, and he accepts it, and he goes. And Robbie comes over and just gives her a quick little, like, hey.
He's, like, literally texting her, like, are you wearing panties? Like, while he's, like, standing in front of her.
Well, and she sends back in all caps, stop texting me, and he goes, why? Am I making you wet? Why? Am I making you wet?
Does sexting run in that family? Because apparently Mike is also very good at sexting. It's just,
right?
It's a good sexting family.
They're just flirty people, I guess. And Fiona is absolutely shook as Robbie leaves. But back at the Alibi, Kev leads in a group of Mexican immigrants, including Paco, our king.
Paco!
King
Fucking
Paco.
love that guy. And he instructs some of them to work behind the bar and some of them to start removing the asbestos. He's like, do you guys know what asbestos is?
And they all just, like, look at each other, and he goes, cover your mouth.
Yeah, he's like, let's go.
These undocumented guys are the things that he went to pick up at Home Depot. He's like, oh, Mickey gave me a good idea. I can bring these guys in, pay them next to nothing, and they'll do the shit work for me.
Exactly. And I mean, Lip had that same idea a couple seasons ago when, what did he say? Ghetto Brown's the new white? Ghetto White's the new brown.
Yeah.
Ghetto White. Because he was like, how can you underbid us? We're illegal immigrants. And he was like, I got college students.
These are hipster volunteers. What do you want for us?
Right. So, back at the Milkovich house, Mickey is locked into a heated argument with the girls and Svetlana, like, at the same time.
I love this scene so much. I love this
I don't know what the fuck you are saying!
It flows so well.
I love just in my head to think of Svetlana saying, they say you are stupid fucking idiot. Well, what'd you say back? That you also have small dick.
and after that, he just storms into, he's like, and he can't even think of a comeback. Because he knows it's true. And he storms into the kitchen to get advice from Terry, Mandy, and Kenyatta, who are, like, sitting in there. And Terry's like, hey, this is your mess.
And in this conversation, we learn that Terry has absolutely fucked Mickey's wife. Because he's like, you think that your wife's worth more than a couple of bucks a lay. I'll tell you from experience, she isn't. Like, oh, so yeah, this is...
And some girl comes up to Mickey and starts yelling at him in Russian, and he just goes, I don't know what the fuck you're saying! Oh my god! And he starts walking out the door.
Don't worry, we'll get a dick in you as soon as we can!
And he just, like, storms out.
Great fucking scene.
I love that scene.
I don't know what the fuck you're saying as a ringtone on my phone for a while.
I don't know what the fuck
I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Oh my god. And then he's like, don't worry, we'll get it taken as soon as we can. And on his way out, Debbie comes in asking advice from Mandy, or she's looking for Mandy.
Debbie walks into this room full of like screaming sex workers, and she's like, "Is Mandy home?
Mandy here?" like Mandy here? So then just a quick little side scene at the Gallagher house. Carl presents Frank with one of his favorite movies and some soup, and he's like very eerily cheery and like care and sweet. But we find out in the kitchen, Carl slips some sleeping pills into Frank's soup.
Because Carl's got a plan.
Yup.
Yeah, man with a mission.
Man with a plan. But back to Mandy. In Mandy's room, Debbie asks her for advice with Maddie, and she tells him that Maddie just doesn't want to get in trouble with the cops, and she tells Debbie to just make the move. So she tries to demonstrate on Kenyatta by like pulling him into the bed and making out with him and taking off his clothes, but Debbie says that she doesn't think she's ready for that. So Mandy says, send a sexy picture instead.
And, like, this is a lot to unpack with Mandy, too. She's like, oh, you're 13? You haven't had sex yet? Oh, he's just worried about the cops. Like, Mandy, we need to unpack what the fuck has happened to you at 13 years old.
Right? Well, because she's like, you said he was older, and she's like, yeah, 20. And he's like, and Mandy's like, oh, he just doesn't want to get in trouble with the cops. Like, anyway.
And Debbie, like, doesn't know that statutory rape is a thing. And Mandy says it's like some old holdover from when, like, women were treated as property. Like, no, Mandy. It's because she's a child. It's because she's a child.
Right.
That's
like,
why that
no,
law
it's
exists.
a very real thing.
No, she is a baby.
So we're back to Frank, and he's conked the fuck out. Carl comes in and starts to set up his leg-breaking contraption, which is himself, with weights taped to him.
I love that he duct tapes, like dumbbell
like workout
weights.
plates, like a bench plate.
Is season 4 just the season of Carl Gallagher? Like, he has so many good moments in this season.
He's killing it this season.
Dude, he's kind of iconic in this season. Like, they really did a lot with him. He kind of, like, has something with every character, mostly Frank, but Carl climbs up on the ladder weighed down by these weights and boom, jumps. Frank's leg is snapped to shit. Frank wakes up just to scream and then, like, immediately falls back asleep.
Yeah.
God, I would have died.
Probably just passed out from the pain. He woke up and then passed out from the pain.
But also the sleeping pills probably didn't help.
Yeah.
So Fiona, we're back on Fiona, arrives at Robbie's apartment to tell him off, and they end up having sex, like, very quickly.
This scene, too, like, she's like, fuck off. You stop texting me. Stop calling me. He's like, you could have called to tell me that. You could have texted to tell me that.
He's like, but you're here.
He's like, you could have, I love my favorite moment. He's like, you could have sent me a message on Facebook. And she's like, I'm not on Facebook. Like, her resolve is just wearing down.
She's playing into it.
Yeah.
Like, she knows why she came here. And, like, they strip down to her just in her sneakers as they start fucking on his bed. Like,
well, it's like she's still in her skirt. She's got her bra on, though. No underwear, and her shoes are still on. Her, like, weird little office shoes.
They're like Skechers, but they have, like, a heel.
They're like nurses' shoes, kind of. Yeah. So they end up having sex, but they're interrupted by Mike knocking on the door. Quick side note, the song in this scene is Blackout Days by Fantagram. Great song. Personally.
Such a great song. That's why I know that song.
Yeah, personally, I think that the Future Islands remix is better.
I agree.
But this is the original one.
That song in edits, though?
Yep. It hits different.
A little thing to discuss. So we've seen her hook up with Robbie 3 times now, but we don't think she has come at all. Like, we don't think she was brought to climax.
They've been interrupted.
Do you think that if she ever got to finish with him, she would have been done with him? Do you think if she ever got to, like, see it through, she would have been like, and the addiction is worn off, and I'm moving on?
That's a good question.
Like, do you think it's because she never reached that she, like, kept coming back for another hit?
I think it would. I think it would depend on how good the orgasm is, because I feel like with Mike, she's, like, not totally satisfied. Like it's not an exciting orgasm. I feel like if she reached climax with Robbie and it was, like, really good because of the danger and the passion of it all, she would be like, no, I need to keep chasing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, Jimmy Steve, because she knew she would always get more coming, but Mike, this is a new experience, so she's only, like, dipping her toe in.
But she was like in love with Jimmy, and Jimmy was a whole thing. But Robbie is just like a hot, sexy thing that she can't have.
Yeah.
That I feel like since he would like bring her up and up and up, and then get interrupted, and bring her up and up and up, then get interrupted. So I feel like if she got to like get over it,
but that was how he kept her coming back. Yeah,
because she never got to that point.
Right. So
she's like, so let me see how this turns out.
Just a little thinky thought that I had about them.
Fiona immediately hides under a table, and Mike comes in to chastise Robbie over trying to scam their dad out of money.
Because Robbie answers the door. Like, they're in the middle of sex.
He does it on purpose.
He does. Well, with his pants, like, half down, he's like, hey! like super panting.
Fiona, like, dives under, like, some, like, desk in his room or something.
Yeah, a table in his kitchen or something.
Because he lives in a studio, so it's not even, like, there's walls.
Yeah, and Robbie deliberately tries to lead Mike to Fiona's hiding spot just to fuck with her, but then he kind of like steers him away really quick, and Mike doesn't catch her. Cut over to Lip. He goes to the Milkovich house and catches Mandy on the way out, and she drops that she has a boyfriend, and he claims that he came by just to say hi. And then he tells her about him smashing the cars and says that it was beautiful but destructive, and it made him think of her.
And that like hurts her. She's like, random acts of destruction make you think of me. I'm like, oh, fuck.
And you can just see her face kind of fall, but she's still, like, holding out that hope. So she asks what he wants, and he says that he, like, point blank, he just misses her. And he's like, is your boyfriend here? Immediate cut to them making out like crazy. He gets in her, and he comes almost immediately, and it's, like, it's so awkward.
Isn't there discussion later in the series that Lip is bad at sex? And, like, it seems like Lip is bad at sex.
Is bad at sex.
And, like, in episode 2, he tells that TA, he's like, yeah, but I fuck like a sophomore. Bestie, do you, though? Like...
Do you, though? Well, it's also, like, that's not something to talk yourself up about. A sophomore? Come on, girl.
Right?
But... So he admits to her that his sex life hasn't been that crazy at college, and she asks for money to plan B, looks through his pockets, and she finds like $6. And he jokes that they could just raise the kid if she gets pregnant, but she waves it off. She's like, stop being stupid. And then he gets serious about it, and he threatens to drop out and commit to her and have a kid with her. And it upsets her because she worked so hard to get him into college in the first place. And she tells him off for treating her like she's only worth like a fuck and a bastard child. She's like, oh, so when things aren't going great at college, you can just come here and knock me up.
And he calls her a skank.
She's honestly so right for that.
Yeah, so he starts to go and he calls her a skank, and she punches him in the face. Good for her.
Yeah, fucking good for her.
Good for her.
And, like, later on when he has a shiner, someone asks him, he's like, oh, I got into a fight. Like, no, Mandy Milkovich punched your ass out is what happened to you.
Right? Like, she laid him out. So at Robbie's apartment, Mike is leaving, and he's, like, in the doorway. Him and Robbie seem to have worked it out, mostly. And after he goes, Fiona comes out of hiding, super angry.
She's pissed. She's so mad.
She's so mad. She, like, punches him in the chest.
She's so pissed. Well, because he was deliberately trying to get Mike to catch her. And he teases her again about her addict tendencies. And then Robbie gets a call, and he's like, oh, do you mind if I take this? It's my girlfriend. And Fiona gets all up in his face and is like, if you ever come near me again, I will fucking kill you. And on her way out, she, like, guiltily watches Mike get into his car from the window. She's, like, watching him, and she's like, ah, shit. Did it again.
Like, Fiona, who you fooling? You're gonna fuck this man again.
Fiona,
like,
you're gonna fuck him again.
You make bad decisions. It's what you do.
Well, she brings that up later. Quick little cutscene. Carl has Frank in a wheelbarrow on the way to Sheila's house, and he hits a stick. He hits a stick, and it jostles the wheelbarrow, and it wakes Frank up, and he starts wailing in pain. And in the background, we follow... Like, in the background of that scene, Debbie comes home into the Gallagher house, and she rushes up to her room.
I like when they do a good transition like that.
Right? Like, it's like, okay, they were smooth with it.
Because you end one person's scene, and it's the person just walking right back in, like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
And, like, oh, we'll follow this little side project, but for the moment, let's branch off over here and watch what's happening in that direction.
Like, it's literally, like, you can see her coming home in the background, and then they just follow her as Frank and Carl pass.
That's how I feel about that one scene when it's, like, Kev standing outside and Maddie drops off Debbie and he's just, like, staring at Maddie as he drives away.
Right.
Because you just see everyone's going on.
Yeah. So in her room, she strips down to her bra, and there's a montage of her trying to take, like, the perfect, sexy, topless selfie. And honestly...
Aww. And who among us hasn't taken 17 horrible photos from bad angles to get one, like, kind of half good one? Like, who among us?
Right? But also, like, I just feel like, I'm like, oh, poor Emma. Like, they have her in that neon green little, like, training bra. And it's like, because it's like, she was what, like, 14? And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Can you imagine being filmed like that?
About Shameless, that kind of is still funny to me, is that, like, in the first and second season, like, having a phone was such, like, a treasure for them, and, like, they barely had it, and they were like, oh, there's only a couple minutes left, or you had the trade-off, and then, like, halfway through the season, Debbie has, like, an iPhone.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, Jimmy buys Fiona a phone. Amanda buys Lip a phone at one point. And then I'm assuming, like, Fiona's job was good enough that she was like, okay, I can, like, get you guys phones. Or the kids just worked odd jobs and saved up for them. Because that seems like something the kids would be like, okay, I'm really saving for.
And they could be, like, Mint Mobile track phone. Like, they still could, even though they're iPhones, they could be, like, shit plan iPhones.
Well, Debbie doesn't have an iPhone. She has, like, a BlackBerry, like, one of those with a keyboard.
Yeah.
A physical keyboard. Yeah. Fiona has an iPhone, but it's not, like, the newest one. And I really don't think, like, Ian has a phone.
But I don't know.
When he comes back.
I don't know about y'all's texting experience with people you are talking to. But, like, her taking those photos, I was like, no, yeah, in my dorm room for, like, 20 fucking minutes trying to get one half-decent cute photo to send to the person I'm talking to.
Right? Or it's like...
And that quality on that phone, too. Oh, it's like,
well,
you see every pixel.
I refuse to use Snapchat because I just fucking hate sending pictures. Like, not even, like, sexy pictures like Debbie's doing, but literally just, like, selfies. Because, like, I feel like it's just really awkward. I would rather just, like, so whenever I, like meet people, I'm literally like, okay, to preface, like, I'll give you my Snapchat. I hate using Snapchat. I don't check it.
Yeah.
You would have
talk to me on Instagram.
That, or I'm like I'm very active on Instagram, very active on Twitter. I'm like, you would have much better luck just asking for my number and texting me.
Like, I hate, like Snap became, like, a thing. Like, what's your Snap? Like, no, text me.
Yeah. Right? Well, just because it's, like, it's not as personal as a phone number, like you, because when you have someone's phone number, you can, like, call them and, like, whatever.
Y'all get a Google phone number. You can just give your Google phone number to whoever.
Or like honestly, Instagram has DMs that are great. Like, I don't, and Instagram also has kind of like a Snapchat type feature. Whatever. I just hate it. I genuinely really do hate it.
Yeah, but this montage gave me, like, oh yeah, no, I've done that. Like,
yeah, like, oof, back in the days. So eventually she gives up and she's like, I look like a child because I am a child.
Yep.
And she just goes into the boys' room and takes a picture of one of Carl's porn magazines and she sends it to Maddie. And he immediately tells her to come over and she's very confident that she's about to get laid. At Sheila's, Carl dumps Frank on the porch and then starts calling out for help. So that was just a quick little scene.
He just, like, dumps him off.
Carl's like, okay, you did not want to do the thing that would break your leg, so I knocked you the fuck out and I broke your leg.
And then he throws him on he uses the wheelbarrow to, like, dump him on the porch. And then he's like, oh my God, my dad fell. Like, help. Guys, like, his leg is broken. Which, honestly, great acting, Carl. Yeah. He's really milking it.
This is a good Carl season.
Right? So, back at the alibi, the guys are in the process of removing the asbestos. And Lip comes in and Kev says hi. And then he lies about Mandy punching him in the face. He's like, oh, I got in a fight. Debbie arrives at Maddie's apartment and she's, like, ready to get freaky. And doesn't she... Yeah. So he comes out of the bathroom and she pushes him onto the couch as she saw Mandy do. And he demands that she stops. And they finally have, like, the conversation about her being too young for him. And she needs...
Because she's like, didn't you like the photo I sent you? He's like, I deleted it.
Yeah. And she needs to stop hitting on him. And it's still evil that he's like, well, when you're 16, like, we can try again. Like, it's fucking gross.
Grooming. He's grooming her. Just say, no, sorry, we can be friends, that is all. Or just like, no, sorry, you clearly have feelings for me and you're 13 and this is weird and we can't talk anymore. Like,
well, it's also like a 20-year-old and a 13-year-old. What the fuck do you have in common?
Right?
Yeah.
What the hell do you have in common to be friends about?
A scary 20-year-old who hangs out at a bowling alley where 10-year-olds hang out.
Very true. And delivers pizza for a living, which honestly, as far as 20-year-old jobs go, that's not that bad. But It doesn't seem like he's in college or anything like that.
Yeah, but he's finally like, it's because you are 13 years old.
Like, you're too young.
Like, Lena, that's like me and you age, like, talking to like a little 13-year-old.
Right? Like, I can't even imagine it. Well, and it's like, I've got a younger brother who's 17. I can't even imagine being friends with a 17-year-old.
Yeah. Like, I'm 26, and when I'm on dating apps, if I see somebody that's, like, 21 or younger, I'm like, don't talk to me. Nope, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird that you're that
like,
young.
Or, like, on Twitter, like, a lot, like, some of the people that follow me are, like, 14 or, like, 15, and I'm like, I know, like, I was that age not that long ago, but it is also, like, there is a very severe difference between how I was then and how I am now.
Yeah.
And so, like, I really don't try to interact. I really, like, I'm like, you can follow me. And sometimes I'll even follow you back.
Me and Lena out here knowing each other since we were 14.
Yeah. No, but we're like, yep.
But now we're like, I would not talk to us.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't. Because I'm like thinking about how I used to be.
Like,
and I'm like, oh, cringe.
If we talk to people, like, when we became friends, I would not talk to us. Because, first of all, those were babies. Those were little children.
Yeah. Right.
And, like, same with me and you. Like, you were friends with my little sister, and that's how I knew you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was already friends with Zoe for, like, years. Yeah. So it wasn't even, like, I was just talking to this older woman. It was like, no,
like, it was just kind of, it was like, no, we're
like I practically knew you at this point. I met your parents.
And I got brought in through Evan, and then it's like, okay, it's a thing.
Yeah.
So Debbie starts crying, rushes out. And at the alibi, Lip is filling Kevin on why college is bullshit.
Please, this scene is the ending of this scene is my favorite thing in the entire world.
Yeah, I love Mickey and Lip hating each other. I love Mickey coming in and being like, aren't you supposed to be at fucking college? What are you doing here?
He's like, why are you
right?
here?
Well, so Mickey comes in, he's like ranting about hooker problems, and he sits down at the bar and he turns, he's like, aren't you supposed to be at college? And Lip's like, hey, hey buddy, how are you?
That's your future brother-in-law.
Right? So they say hi. And at Kevin V's house, V and Fiona are discussing her going over to Robbie's, and V totally calls Fiona out on being self-destructive, and Fiona buys into it. She's like, yeah, it was wrong. And she admits to V that she keeps checking her phone to see if Robbie texted her, and she knows it's wrong, but she just can't stop.
She's an addict.
Yeah, and then very quick, like, side joke, V notices that someone, Carl, broke into her pill cabinet. Well, because she's like,
but
she sees the doors are smashed, and she's just like, who the fuck broke into my pills?
Like, I was like, it surprisingly took her that long to find. Like, the thing was, like, it wasn't even like he picked the lock. No, he smashed it.
Wasn't it like the last episode that he did that or something? Or was it?
He says that he did it again in this episode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, at the alibi, Kev asks if Lip was joking about dropping out. And he says that he really wants to and that his grades suck, so it's not totally up to him. But Kev sets him straight. And he tells him he's the only guy who really has the potential to get out of the South Side, and that he just kind of needs to, like, suck the hardship up. Like, things are tough. Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
This honestly kind of is so sad just to, like, know, like, future things being
with
like,
Lip.
They put him through all of that stuff to just kind of, like, put him back. Like,
I do love, like, kind of the big brother Kev moment of him, like, in the absence of Ian being there to shake any sense into Lip. It was Kev that had to step up and be like, hi, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, but also, like, Ian has his flaws, too, and I more describe this as, like, a fun uncle-nephew relationship.
Yeah.
Because they have, like, a better, friendlier dynamic than that, I think. But
like,
so,
Ian, like, if it wasn't Kev, like, if Ian was around, Ian would be the one to be like, hey, objectively, that's a stupid fucking idea. Like,
right. And, like, for real, it kind of did really seem like Lip was unwilling to play by the rules that he needed to. Like, he knew what the rules were. He was just thought they were bullshit. And it's like, that's not how that works, though.
Yeah.
You just have to
like,
do it.
He's not wrong, but, like, you have to regardless.
He's not wrong. Like, it is bullshit, but it's like, that sucks. You have to do it, though. Like,
yeah, college is hard, Lip.
When you're in college, like, you have to fucking follow the rules, no matter how much you want to cut the corners.
Right, and and that's the thing is, like,
and this is coming from someone who's never fucking gone to college.
And this is coming from someone who's in college. It's like he knows the rules. He knows what he has to do. He knows how he needs to treat people, how he needs to act, the effort that he needs to put in. But he's like, he thinks it's bullshit, so he's refusing to.
It's like, because he's never had that level of commitment almost to, like, anything. So it's like he's right on the cusp of being like, you can do it, you can do it.
School came easy for him.
He was so much smarter than everyone in his school that he like never had to try. Honestly, my brother was the same way. My brother, like, he went to Riverside. It's a 1 square mile town. There was like 180 people in his graduating class, and he never had to study, and he always did really well. And I always had to study like 3 times as hard as he did. But like, he never had to study. Everything came easy to him. And then he went to college, and his first semester at college fucking sucked, and it kicked his ass.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a great scene between the two of them. They both give really great performances. And Lip kind of just gets up and leaves abruptly. And Kevin just waves him off. And Lip says, GFY. And Kev just goes, yeah, TGIF.
Because he's just like cleaning it up. He goes, yeah, TGIF. Like, it's so good.
For people who don't remember, GFY from season 1 was Lip telling that guy, go fuck yourself. And he's like, yeah, TGIF.
I love that. GFY. Yeah. So TGIF. Good. Like,
I honestly, like, knowing Kev, I feel like he doesn't know what that means.
So at the bowling alley, Debbie is rushing around trying to find Holly to ask for advice, and she runs into Frappuccino Boy from earlier, and he's salty because Holly left with the guy that she was after, and Debbie takes this opportunity to kind of swoop in and invite him to the bathroom with her, so they go. At Sammy's trailer, Carl drops Frank off, and like, well, because it's just like he drops and he like knocks on the door, and Sammy opens the door with like a gun, and she's like, ah! And Frank's like, whoa.
And Frank's just in a wheelchair, just like,
well, and Frank's like looking up at her, and he's like, whoa, and she's like, oh my god, Frank, like, get in here. Debbie and the kid are in the bathroom, and they turn the lights off. It's super awkward, and they both lie about having had sex before.
They're like standing so close to each other.
Well, in the bathroom stall, and it's like cringe.
It's also really creepy because this kid like kind of looks like Ethan Kutsky. Like, I looked at him, I was like,
yeah, he kind of does.
He kind of looks like Ethan.
Well, yeah, and they're just like standing there, and they're not kissing or anything. They're just looking at each other, and they're like, so like, are we about to do this? Super cringe. And she's like, I'm gonna take my shirt off now. And she almost does, but then she gets too nervous, and she's like, I can't. And he's like, I think I already did. He already came in his pants.
Because he's 13.
I know. And he was fawning all over Holly all day. It's like so sad.
See, this is the kind of shit that I would have been fine with. 2 13-year-olds being awkward and cringy and horrible around each other for like a whole storyline.
Anyway, we intercut Lip walking across Chicago, very depressed, with Debbie doing the same. She's full on sobbing. He's just kind of walking, but they're both walking home.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little like parallel. They just cut back and forth between the two for a little bit. Back at Sammy's trailer, they discuss Frank's injury. Sammy says that she sent Chucky to the neighbors so the two of them can be alone. Ugh. Frank asks if they scheduled the transplant date, and he says that he'll have the money as soon as he gets his insurance check, but she reveals that they weren't a match.
Her white blood cells attacked his white blood cells, apparently.
Yeah, which is just...
He's like, why the fuck did they do that?
he just explodes. He starts ranting. He's freaking out about everything he's done to try to survive. And he's like, oh, thanks God, my own daughter isn't even a match. And it's like, whoa. Sammy is like speechless, dumbfounded. And she's like, wait, daughter?
Yeah.
And Frank admits to her that he's her father, and you can just see the steam coming out of her ears. Like, she's partly embarrassed that she kissed on him so hard, but mostly angry that he lied to her. Well, she's like, you dry humped my thigh for 30 minutes yesterday. And he's like, and he just goes, dry humping is not incest. It's like, yes, it is.
It is. It's creepy,
yes, it is.
Frank. It's creepy that you did anything at all.
And she forces him out, and her screaming is so fun. Well, because she's
like, yeah!
She's a good screamer. That actress is a good screamer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emily something.
Yeah.
I do not remember.
I saw her on Broadway.
My film professor has done a film with her and is friends with her.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She was in the show The Ferryman.
Well, and it's like, I liked Sammy's character at first. Before she started taking over the Gallagher house.
Cunt. Yeah.
Well, it was like, when she started like acting like she was the head of household, that was when I started being like, girl. But like, I kind of got where she was coming from most of the time, because it's like, damn, Frank lied to her, manipulated her pretty hard.
You want me to throw some fun little family trauma onto this? The way that she acts when she comes into the Gallagher house, and she's like, I'm your sister. You have to treat me like your sister now. My grandma came in, or like my dad's mom came into our lives once when I was like 12 years old. And she's like, I'm grandma. And I'm like, I literally don't know who the fuck you are. Like, I've never met you. And she's like, you gotta treat me like grandma. I'm like, I super don't, because I don't know who the fuck you are. Yeah, it's
almost like stepmom things.
Yeah.
But he gets kicked out. Back at the alibi, Kev talks to the guys he hired and pays them basically nothing for their work with the asbestos.
He gives them like $10.
Yeah, they got rid of it, and then he's like, hey, Paco, line them up some half shots to congratulate them on their work, and he leans in and he's like, make sure they're half shots.
Yeah.
And Mickey comes back in, asks Kev about the apartment upstairs if they got it all cleaned out, and Mickey proposes that he rent out the apartment and they turn it into a whorehouse.
A rub and tug, the beginning of the rub and tug. I love Kev and Mickey's partnership.
Me too.
Right?
It's so good. Finally, Steve and Noel get a storyline to chew on. Like,
right? Because they're like, we're friends a little bit.
Yeah.
Back at home, Fiona catches Debbie crying in her room, and she gets Debbie to open the door for her, like, kind of just like, Debbie's finally opening up to her a little bit, and she opens up about Maddie. She's like, my boyfriend broke up with me, and take a shot, everybody, drinking game, take a shot, because Fiona says, you screwed up. That just proves you're a Gallagher.
Oh my god, can we write just a little more lazy?
Alcohol poisoning.
I don't give a fuck if you're a Gallagher.
Alcohol poisoning. But that seems to help Debbie a little bit, because she's like, yeah. But she's still crying, and Fiona opens up about her lack of knowledge of healthy relationships. Like, she's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing either.
Yeah.
And it's a really good scene between the two of them. Really emotional. Unfortunate timing this week with that article.
Yeah.
But it is a really great scene between the two of them.
Because, like, Emmy is, like, also, like, practically crying watching Debbie be so, like, heartbroken.
Right? Well, and Emma Kenny... Emma Kenny cries like nobody's business. She's like, I'm going for it.
But once again, Fiona, having the knowledge that her younger sibling is dating an actual fucking grown-ass adult would be I
don't think she knows that he's older. She didn't say that.
Like, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like Fiona, like, knowing about, maybe Ian dating, like, full-on grown men, and now Debbie dating full-on grown men. Just, like, getting in on that much of the context would be super nice for Fiona to have all of the information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Frank then rolls his ass into the alibi, and he sets up camp for the night. And Sammy follows him in. She guilts him a little bit for, like, being an absent father, but he apologizes, and she ultimately forgives him. And she sits down, and the two of them spend the night hanging out.
I gotta say, lazy writing. Where was the
scene? That she just immediately followed him back there?
Where was the scene between her screaming, throwing him out of her room, or out of her trailer, and then being fine? Like, where was the scene between that?
She comes in, and initially she's really angry at him still. Not, like, yelling, screaming, because they're in public, but she's like, you know, like, you fuck, like, I, every day I wondered where you were, like, blah, 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 and she's, like, telling him off, and she's like, did you ever think about me? And he says, honestly, no. I never did, but I will now. And that's what kind of, like, softens her up a little bit, where she's like, oh, and then she, like, laughs at a joke he makes or whatever.
Like, I know she's got daddy issues, but, like, it just felt like lazy writing. They're like, she's gonna scream at him for dramatic and comedic effect, and then we're going to do absolutely nothing, and then she's gonna forgive him.
And then she's gonna become the worst daddy's girl ever imaginable.
Yeah. So the next morning at college, Lip catches his professor coming into the building and asks for a retest. And he gets shamed a little bit more, but Lip genuinely, like, kind of begs.
Yeah. I think Kev kicked his ass a little bit. I think Kev, like, got him going.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because he respects Kev. And Lip says that he understands the demands of the real world and that the demands of college are different, and he's just having trouble adjusting to those. So he's like, I just need somebody to say, fuck it, this kid deserves a break. And the professor's like, I guess that's supposed to be me. And he does. He cuts him a break. He lets him take the test. We end this episode with Lip following the professor inside the building.
And the professor's like, do you have a blue book with you? And Lip's like, yeah. Where the fuck did you get a blue book, Lip? Like,
you can buy them at the campus store.
And then he, like, asked, he was like, do you have, like, a pen? And he's like, I got 2.
He's like, I have 3, just in case. And the professor's like, okay.
Character development from when he didn't have a pen in that man's class.
So after credits scene, Sammy takes Frank through all of her scrapbook memories he missed, and she puts her hand, like, on his leg to be like, aw, and he gets hard. Fucked up for real.
I hate shameless writing.
Fucked up for real. Well, he, like, puts a pillow over, and then he's like,
up.
Ignore that.
fucked up. Fucked up for real.
Fucked up for real.
Why does this show think incest is so funny? Why does this show... It's like the defining joke of this show is that incest is hilarious.
And it doesn't get any better because they make plenty of those... Don't even get me started in season 10 when the milk of the show.
When Sandy shows up especially and Mickey's like, oh, fuck my cousin. It's like, oh my god.
She's like, let's have fun like you used to. And he's like, we're cousins. Like, shut the fuck up.
Right?
Like, why? What is it with the writers of the show? Why do they think incest is so funny? I don't understand.
Probably because it's shocking. Like, shock factor. They're like, yes, shock equals funny. No.
Ugh.
Anyway, next week on Shameless, Fiona and Mike both land a punch on Robbie. Military police track down Lip at college looking for Ian. Lip asks Mickey for information, and Frank's insurance payout looks to be pretty big.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for that Lip asking Mickey for help scene. I'm so excited for the sad sweater. I'm so excited.
And the song in that scene is really good too. But the end credits song for this episode is Alone With You by the F String, which is like a blues rocky kind of tune. Some honorable music mentions in this episode though. Ever Alone by the Soul's Release when Debbie's crying. Avita Dollars by The Loud. Whole Life in a Pocket by the Pollywogs, and Bodies by the Duke Spirit. Bodies by the Duke Spirit is the song that's playing when Fiona's on the train.
Love that.
When things are happening on the train.
I love how much you notice the music in this show. That's so awesome.
I love the music. I go crazy. It sets the mood for real. But that was
it really does.
That was the episode. What did you guys think?
That was the episode. I will never get that opening scene out of my brain.
Oh my god, so it will never leave my brain.
Like, it's built different.
Like, I take the train every day, and I watched this episode the other day, and I got on the train today, and I was like, oh, like...
Oh,
you were like,
okay.
What if that was me, though?
Yeah, what if that was me, though?
Yeah. I think this is a great episode. I think everybody got a really good amount of screen time. I think that... I
love seeing Carl again. Great.
Leah, season 4 is giving me an appreciation for Carl that I never had before.
It's interesting how equal things seem to be spaced out and like how I feel like everybody's getting their fair share of screen time, despite the fact that they are missing Ian and Sheila, like the whole Karen aspect of it all. And it's like, and then they flopped so hard in season 10 when they were missing just Fiona. It was like they couldn't figure out how to balance storylines the same way. Things were so like off kilter. Like some characters had so much screen time and other characters had none, and it was like, how'd you fuck up so bad?
Everyone was doing independent things. No one was crossing storylines anymore.
Once they figured out that they had to start giving Liam storylines, everything got fucked up. They're like, oh, now that's too many. Now that's too many people.
He used to be just a prop. Oh my god, we actually have to write for him.
But like, then also, meanwhile, they're bringing in like 6, 7, 8 brand new characters to fuck around and waste time on.
Yeah, well, like what I thought was great was when they would have Liam's storyline be linked with Frank.
Yeah.
Like, because then Liam basically took on the role of
it's like this Carl Frank thing.
Yeah, Liam basically took on the role of Carl where he's like, I get to do interesting things and shine, but also I am not taking away from anybody else's storyline. I'm just helping with one.
And also, any kid actor with William H. Macy is a great
They
episode.
fucking flourish, dude. So, I don't know, but I think this episode's pretty great.
I think it's really good, too. Like, it's the beginning of the rub and tug, which
banger,
I love.
banger. Well, because it's like, next episode, banger, next episode, banger, next episode, banger, and so on and so forth. Banger, banger.
It's the beginning of the turnaround with Svetlana. We're going to start seeing more Svetlana from here on. And
well, you can see that Mickey's like genuinely fucking up her life a little bit and she's getting fed up with it.
Yeah. And like, I love Mickey having a storyline outside of the like Ian wasn't in this episode at all. This was Mickey's fucking story that Mickey had to take care of some shit in his life. And there wasn't even him like wistfully staring at a photo of Ian in the mirror. Like, no, this is just independently a fucking story for this character that exists on our show.
We actually see what Mickey does.
Right? And like how he acts and like how his home life is. Like, well, like Mandy and Kenyatta and Terry are just kind of around, and it's like, I feel like they took some pointers from the original Shameless for that, because in the original Shameless, like, the McGuire family is, like, very heavily featured.
Yeah. And, like I said, him and Kev having a storyline together, I feel like they're like, oh yeah, Noel and Steve work, like, really well together. Like, it...
And then isn't it, like, the previous episode was the scene with all of them doing, like, the... like, sitting around the table, like, talking about like them stealing from mailboxes. Like that was like one of our first like actual Milkoviches like hanging around the table scene. Like
that was episode 1 of this season. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that was like one of our first ever like them casually having a scene. Like even though they all fucking suck, it was nice to actually see what their independent storylines instead of it's just like Ian coming in the door and only Ian having a scene in the house, or like the kids in there for 2 seconds.
And I genuinely believe once they stopped using the alibi as a stop-in space that storylines could cross over in, and just started using it as like, oh, it's the alibi, Kevin V are here, and that's it. Just Kevin V are here. That's all. That's all that's here.
Oh, like stop in and talk to Kevin V a little bit. And it's like, no, like the alibi is where storylines intersect because people show up there.
Yeah.
And then it's where we transition from one character to another. Like
Frank comes in to rant about his bullshit, sits down. Mickey comes in and sits down and has a beer and he's like, what the fuck is up with you, Frank? And Lip comes in to rant about college. Mickey's like, what are you doing here? And like, Mickey's like, hey, Kev, did you rent out that space that like now we've been seeing throughout the whole thing? And like, it's a nice, it's like every sitcom has it, like the Central Perk, the loft, like they've got that space that they orbit around each other.
Mm-hmm.
And once that started just getting used as like, oh, we're in the alibi, this is only a Kevin V storyline that we're doing in the alibi. Like, no, it is the hub. There's the Gallagher house and the alibi, and they are the hubs of where stories intersect.
But yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk about perhaps our new stickers.
Yes, our new stickers. How many?
I feel like by the time this comes out, we'll be like, we are posting about them or something.
I think we do have enough at the moment to sell. Sebastian is more than happy to print us more. I think from well,
it's also like by the time this comes out in November, we will probably have made some sort of announcement.
So we would like to tell everybody that our lovely host Lena did a kick-ass cool design.
Her graphic design's non-existent major popped off.
I'm an art student.
Okay, you're an art student, but you said you don't really normally use that program.
Yeah, I'm not a graphic designer or design major, but I am an art student, so I did have to learn a little bit how to use it.
So by the time this comes out mid-November, we better have posted about it already. There's going to be some stickers. You'll see the photo of it on our Instagram by the time this episode comes out. It looks like the Gallagher house, and it has the Luck We Had on it, and it's so fucking cool. That's what I originally wanted the logo of this podcast to be, the Gallagher house, like an outline of the Gallagher house. And I don't think I ever even told you that. And you just said, oh, I want to do something. And you whipped out the Gallagher house. And I was like, oh.
Well, because I was like, it's the house. Well, because it's like we are talking about the whole show. We don't always just talk about Ian and Mickey, even though that is like very much our focus a lot of the time. It is like, we do talk about the whole,
Shameless the house.
I feel like our logo sets our vibe of what you're entering into.
Yeah. Well, it's like, here's what you're gonna get. Like,
it is gay here. That's the vibe you're getting here.
So true.
But we have a 4-inch size, a 3-inch size, and a 2-inch size, so we got so many coming.
We'll have, Lena's Gallagher house as well as our original logo stickers. They will be available. You can message us through Instagram and get them. And possibly, maybe, if we can figure out if Bonfire will let us upload a photo to print on a t-shirt, there might be a Bonfire campaign. I don't know. I will. Ooh. So yeah, if that's a thing, that's a thing. But yeah, if you want one of the stickers that we will definitely post, between the three of us will remember that we'll definitely post by the time this episode comes out. This wonderful design by our lovely Lena, who did a great job on the notes and the narrating again today. We love our full...
Thank you. I love taking pressure off of your back, Amanda. Because I'm like, yes, this is Amanda's baby, and I don't want it to be like I'm taking over, but also I'm like, Amanda is stressed as hell. I want to help fix that.
I'm taking my Ian time. As Ian is true. In season 4, as am I.
Go steal a helicopter.
I'm gonna go steal a helicopter and get myself the fuck out of this festival. But we're doing it. We're going to have stickers. We have our original logo stickers. We're going to have Lena's logo stickers. And if future Amanda has anything to say about the Bonfire campaign, that'll get put in. And yeah, I told you guys I did the math the other day. I was like putting up, I keep a track of like when we record and when we edit and when we post. And I was like, I wonder why it felt like it was so long since the last time I talked to you guys, last time we recorded, because we recorded on October 6th. It's because the last time I recorded with you guys was August 23rd.
Damn. Wait, I thought, well, you mean when we recorded 403? The last time we recorded before. No, but it's like the last time we recorded before 403 was August.
It was me, because you guys recorded in September, but I hadn't recorded with you guys since August.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, because we had our independent
because
show.
I had moved into my apartment like that day, and our power had been out like the day before, and it was so hot in here because our power was out, and I was sitting here and I just moved in. I don't even think when we recorded, I don't even think I had built my bed frame yet.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was like a mattress on the floor, and now I have like a legit bed, but yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
that was crazy.
That break was amazing, and this is pre-recording is so good. Again, if something has happened in the future, we don't know about it yet. It's October 19th.
We don't know yet.
But if you want to get one of our amazing stickers, you can email us at luckwehadpod@gmail.com. You can message our Instagram, luckwehadpod. You can message our Twitter, luckwehadpod. And you can follow those, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Please, it really matters. You guys rating and reviewing and subscribing makes people see our show more, which is very cool. And you can follow me at AbnormalAmanda on Twitter, at AbnormalAmanda18 on Instagram, and at AbnormalAmanda_18 on TikTok. Where can they find y'all?
You guys can find me on TikTok at Unevent. You can find me on Instagram at IamOK4000 because Instagram doesn't like me. I don't use Twitter that much, but you can find me at Internet Life Fiona and Lena. Where can they find you?
I am very much on Twitter. Unlike Evan, you can find me on Twitter at Durs Holmvik, but the L is an I, like the character from Workaholics. You can find me on Instagram, which I am also very active on, at Kojak, COJACKK. Our podcast social medias, Luck We Had Pod on basically everything, including Tumblr, which I do run the Tumblr. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Message us, talk to us. We love to hear from you guys. It's amazing.
We want to hear what you have to say.
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Oh yeah, every time someone sends us a DM or a tweet or something, we'll like send it in our little group chat and we talk about it.
We're like, oh my god,
someone's talking to us.
Hit us up for stickers. And if there's t-shirts, we'll talk about it. But like, hit us up for stickers on the Instagram. Evan will send them out to you, and it'll be a rockin' good time. And I'm so excited we're so close to getting Ian back. We're so close
to like 406. Well, it's like 406
so
when the jail storyline starts. It's like yes,
like
yes, this is what the show was always meant to be.
I fucking love season 4. And, like, I'm finding new and fun ways to enjoy. Like I said, like, I'm enjoying Carl in an entirely new way that I never enjoyed him before.
Yes. And, like, I'm having empathy for Debbie a little bit. I'm having empathy for Sammy.
Yeah.
That I didn't have before.
Okay, it's 11:30 at night. We're starting to ramble.
Oh my god.
We're gonna get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
And I'm gonna rest up for the festival, and you guys for school and for work, and then until next time, goodbye.
We bid you adieu.
Bye.